U.S. officials have determined that at least one of the militants in the attacks in Paris was linked to Al-Qaeda in Yemen. The attacks in Paris have taken on a new dimension as we've connected some of the militants to these groups that have been a big and growing concern for U.S. and counterterrorism officials in Europe. A.Q.A.P stands for Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. It is Al-Qaeda's affiliate in Yemen. It was almost utterly destroyed probably 8 or 9 years ago, and then caught the world off guard coming out of 2008 and 2009 with a series of innovative attacks. They didn't always work, but they were frightening. One of the most frightening was the attempt to blow up a plane bound for Detroit on Christmas Day in 2009. Well, A.Q.A.P became a bigger concern to officials in the United States with the arrival and emergence of ANWAR Al-AWLAKI, who was a U.S.-born cleric. He was born in New Mexico and was an imam at a mosque not very far from our offices here in Washington, but then fled to Yemen and became an important piece of Al-Qaeda's franchise there. He attracted a huge following online, partly because he spoke English, but also because he had a fairly mesmerizing message, a message that appealed to a lot of people. And so he's been linked to a series of attacks, including the shooting at Fort Hood. He'd been in correspondence there. And now, after this Paris shooting, he is seen, or was described by the brothers as an inspirational figure for them, if not somebody that one of them may have even met in person during trips to Yemen. Al-AWLAKI was killed in a drone strike in 2011, not long after Osama bin Laden was killed in that CIA operation in Pakistan. One of the more puzzling developments over the last few days has been the assertion by one of the gunmen in Paris that he was affiliated with the Islamic State, and the others who were saying that they were acting on behalf of Al-Qaeda in Yemen, because the Islamic State came out of Al-Qaeda. It used to be Al-Qaeda's franchise in Iraq, but over the past year broke away from that group and is now a fierce rival for Al-Qaeda, competing for global attention and competing for resources. And its leaders have really been harshly critical of Al-Qaeda. So the idea that you could have overlapping militants, who are declaring or claiming allegiance to these two competing groups just tells you how fluid the situation is and how far that they can be from actual contact with these groups and still be motivated or inspired by them. The attacks in Paris really realized a fear that has grown substantially in Europe and the United States over the past year, which is Europeans who departed, left, went to fight abroad in either Syria or Yemen or someplace like that, and then return.
A man from Rochester, New York has been indicted on charges of trying to help the Islamic State militant group.
One of the more unnerving aspects of this is how many years had passed since that trip for the A.Q.A.P brothers before they acted in Paris. So this is going to lead to yet another escalation of the focus on counterterrorism, not only in France, but across Europe, and probably is going to be a great source of alarm for U.S. counterterrorism officials as well.